You are listening to Storymakers, the podcast for women who are ready to step into their true identity, live with meaningful purpose, find belonging and connection, grow in leadership, and walk boldly in faith. Here you can uncover the story that you were created to live because you were made for such a time as this. Hello, my friends. Today I want to talk about finding people who match your energy, because it actually really does matter in connection with other people. Finding those who feel like they are in the same place and on the same playing field with us. And I love finding people who are like-hearted, like-minded, and like-directed, right? But it really showed up one day. I was having a conversation with my teenage daughter, and she said, I really love hanging out with this. It was a particular friend. And I asked her why, like, oh, what do you love about her? And what she said caught this for me. She said, she just matches my energy really well. So as we started talking about it, I was like, I knew exactly what she was describing. And she was trying to find words for it. But I realized that when I meet somebody who is funny or creative or a strategic thinker, it's like finding somebody on the same wavelength. But it's not just that. It's also about, I don't know, like the where I'm at in the moment, like the peace that I feel right now. Somebody who is also in that state of peace, or the excitement I feel, somebody who's also in that excitement, or the high energy level I have because I'm anticipating doing something fun. And I mean, fun can be like a whiteboarding session or going to the jazz club. So, but just having somebody who's like on that same wavelength and connecting with them in what I'm experiencing in my soul and body, when it's what they're experiencing also, and we can meet there, it's like a moment that's very resonating. It feels like home. It feels comfortable. It feels effortless, which is really nice to be with people that you can effortlessly be you and yourself. You don't have to shrink yourself or expand yourself or explain yourself. When you are present, both of you are present, like in the same way. You're both open, you're both alive, you're both engaged, you're both at rest in the Lord, you know? I think that matching energy is something we crave, and it's not just about like a personality or even the pace that we find ourselves in. It's like emotional alignment in the moment. Because I also realized that one of my friends who matches my energy today may not be the same person who matches my energy next week or even like a year from now. So you might find yourself in a peaceful season, but have a friend who is in a very hurried, busy season, right? And maybe the things on your plate are less than hers. And every time you're together, it feels like something is, I don't know, she feels a little chaotic right now. And she's thinking you feel a little boring, whatever. Or you might be in a very creative flow and you have a friend who's kind of just in survival mode and shut down a little bit. Energy like will shift, and seasons will shift, and people will shift. But honestly, if our connection depends on being consistently matched, it's going to be, I would say that our relationship then becomes fragile, right? So we have to learn that the real goal in connection isn't just to find people who match us, but we also have to love the people across our differences. Because, none of our relationships with parents, kids, spouses, friends, employers, employees, like no relationship is meant to be in perfect rhythm all of the time. We're actually, I think, in a relationship, every relationship, we're meant to be able, I don't know, I feel like drawing ourselves, it draws us into finding harmony rather than always expecting other people to match our melody, if that makes sense. It's so nice to find people who match our energy, who are singing the same melody because it does feel comfortable and effortless. But we can't have that all of the time. We do have to have an appreciation for people who don't know the song at all, who've never heard this melody, who can't sing the melody in the same key, who sing harmony alongside of us, or actually invite us, and sometimes it will feel like require us to become somebody who is the harmony and not the melody. That's, I think, part of maturity. And matching energy and singing the same melody feels really amazing. But loving other people who don't sing the same melody is where maturity comes in and empathy grows. And you start realizing that the peace you feel in a melody with other people isn't something that you have to depend on other people to get you. It's something that you can bring into the room. So, and I just want to, qualify when I'm talking about energy. I'm not talking about something mystical or woo woo. I'm talking about the way a person shows up in life when we're with them. It's like the tone of their presence, the level of their curiosity or passion, and the way they listen and respond and dream with you. It's like the deep, I don't know, deep breath that you can take where when you realize you don't have to explain every thought or slow yourself down or speed yourself up. It's just finding people who get you, you know? You're running the same pace and the same race, and your breaths are in rhythm, your running is, you're going after the same thing. It's just refreshing. And I think for me, sometimes finding somebody like that helps me feel like I'm not alone. And for me personally, it helps me feel like I'm not too much because and it's something my daughter and I were talking about. Like sometimes we are the kind of people who can feel like in a situation, in a room, in a relationship, like sometimes we can hear the lie that we are the one that's too much in the room or the relationship. So meeting somebody who can match our energy makes us feel like we're not too much for that person. And it just feels good. That's the truth of it. And I think God sometimes, intentionally surrounds us with people who balance our energy rather than mirror it. Like, you know, the people around us who aren't exactly like us. There's so many of them. Matching energy feels easy, but loving people who are different helps us grow, helps us become deeper people. And we become more patient and humble and understanding. It's where we learn how to stay in our own lane and stay steady without demanding other people keep up with us. Or I don't know, it's like just seeing beyond all of the personality and seeing the depth of purpose in a relationship. And I think Jesus modeled that perfectly, that like he does all things. His disciples were not, some group of, a uniform standard of persons. Peter was bold and impulsive. He would speak before he had thoughts, it seems like. And John was gentle and reflective, always led with love. And Thomas was cautious and analytical, but very, very loyal. And Jesus wasn't tolerating their differences. He invited their differences to come surround him. And he worked with them and taught them and taught through them and trusted them with his mission. He didn't need them to be exactly like him and be the same kind of person and sing the same melody and match his energy. He needed them to be present, willing, surrendered, flexible, humble, and teachable. And I think it's easy to confuse being understood with being, matching energy, but they're not the same. You can be really loved and still not matched in that energy. You can be fully seen and still kind of at a different energy from the people around you. And, it's an invitation to enjoy people who don't match our energy and just recognize what that is. That it doesn't necessarily mean we're not supposed to be friends with those people or work with them. It just means they're different. They're the harmony to our melody, and we can be a harmony to theirs. Sometimes we'll sing the same tune and in the same key, and sometimes we won't. And that does not mean we have to give up or quit, right? We stay rooted. And I think that the desire for matching energy and feeling that is really a human longing for attunement, where we feel seen and understood and met at that same frequency of being. We want people who bring the same level of emotional presence and curiosity that we do. And not just like a shared interest, but a shared, um, I don't know if this is a word. It's like a shared aliveness. The way I feel alive right now, whether it's inspired, excited, peaceful, whatever it is, feeling the shared aliveness is so beautiful. Like, I'm looking for somebody who's in tune and aligned where I'm at. It doesn't mean I'll stay there. It doesn't mean it has to be perfect alignment. It doesn't mean I have no tolerance for them. It is such a beautiful thing. And I think number one, that there's an emotional resonance, like the heart connection with people, finding people in our lives who feel life similarly, like the ones who understand and respond to moments with a depth, empathy, excitement. It's the emotional intelligence. And when we find someone who resonates on that emotional level, we can feel really safe with them. So you don't have to translate what you feel passionate about to them because they already understand that language. You don't have to downplay what you're sensitive to. The root desire of that is I want to be met emotionally. And I think this is obviously like in love relationships in any way. The shadow side of that is if you don't meet me emotionally, I'm going to assume you don't care. That is really very real for me personally. Genesis 2 says that it's not good for man to be alone. I think also it means like it's not good, obviously, and the Bible's talking about humans. Like it's not good for a man to be alone, but it's also just not good for us humans to be alone. And it's not good for me as a woman to just be alone and be out doing everything on my own. And spiritually, this heart connection, emotional resonance that we look for, it's speaking to the human need for companionship that we are designed with. It's less about romance and more about resonance and feeling known, seen, understood, and validated in our own emotional landscape. Number two is the mental alignment, this is really important to me, that thought connection. It's like the meeting point of interest, curiosity, ideas, all of these things. It's like me talking to my coaches or a lot of my clients, whether the coaches or not. It's talking about being with people who want to talk about the same things you do. Not the surface level, shallow or small talk, but the inner world of your mind, your purpose, your calling, dreams, ideas, growth, faith, creativity, all of these things. When somebody matches you in that mental space, it's so energizing. These are the people I want. I can't wait to get on the whiteboard with. It builds momentum, and then you leave the conversation with more than you came into it with, right? So the root desire of that is I want to be understood and inspired. The shadow side of that is if you can't keep up with my thoughts, I'm going to pull away instead of slowing down. Totally get this. I don't want to slow down. I want to I'm a very fast thinker. I want to keep going. Where are you? Like, how come you can't catch up? How come you can't keep up on the thought process? But Romans 15:5 calls this being of one mind and one accord. It doesn't mean that everybody has to think the same way. It just is a shared purpose and pursuit. I think when we're all pursuing the mind of Christ, when we're all looking for the will of God in our lives, we are in the same pursuit, but God's going to speak different things to each one of us, right? Then there's number three, the spiritual frequency. Sorry, I had to take a drink of my coffee. I feel like I've already had a lot. I think I'm talking really fast. So this is, just spiritually being aligned in our faith and our spiritual values and looking for people who are like directed and that who share your hunger for the truth, the word, peace, purpose, and even transformation. So spiritually, matching energy often means that you're drawn to others whose faith is burning with a similar fire to yours, right? So it doesn't mean you have to have identical theology. You just you share a devotion to the direction you're pursuing your faith in, the spiritual growth and the word of the Lord and the truth of Jesus, right? So the root desire of that is I want to walk with other people who stir my faith up, not drain it or diminish it. The shadow side of that is that thinking like if somebody's not in the same place spiritually, I might judge them or distance myself rather than just being compassionate. And Galatians 5, verse 25 says that since we live by the Spirit, let us keep in step with the Spirit. And that step language, that word, it implies that there's a rhythm of walking together, not being identical, not being the same person, just being alignment, right? Being in alignment. And then 4, there's a relational rhythm. And I think this is where energy literally feels like energy. So like how fast you're moving, how fast you communicate, how often you communicate, how much passion and focus and drive you carry. And some people thrive on constant motion and vision casting, and other people are quieter. They're more like maybe living for more of like a consistency. Steady and slow slow and steady wins the race, When the rhythm and energy clashes, it can feel like we are getting out of sync. And the root desire of this is I want to share my life with people who move with me and go at my pace. The shadow side of that is if your pace frustrates me, I may label you as unmotivated or too much for me, one way or the other. And I think Ecclesiastes 3, it says there's a time for everything. So learning to honor timing in others without forcing them into our timeline or time frame really becomes it's a emotional and spiritual maturity. Then the last type of this matching is that energetic, let's call it integrity, your presence, your authenticity. Matching energy is about presence more than anything. And it's about being around people who are authentic, aware, self aware. They understand the impact they have where they go. They're consistent in life. When somebody's energy is honest, meaning like they're not being manipulative, they're not being performative, it can feel so safe and life giving to be with that person. So you can sense when somebody's energy is clean versus chaotic. And they're not taking from you. They're like not a vacuum. You can tell when you're around somebody where you feel like there's a vacuum. They're taking things. These people who like their energy is matching you in that clean space, they're the kind of people who are like a peer. They're standing with you, beside you. So the root desire of this one is I want connection that feels mutual, not draining. I so resonate with this. Please give me peers and friends who connect in a way that feels very mutual. The shadow side of this is if I have been in draining relationships in the past or today, I might guard myself a little too tightly and have trouble letting people in. But iron sharpens iron. Proverbs 27:17. So one person sharpens another. And sharpening doesn't happen through matching in perfection, right? Like you don't take a knife and rub a knife up against a knife. You've got to have things that create friction so that something gets sharpened. You don't rub a knife on a pillow to sharpen it, right? It creates no friction. What you're actually going to do is you're going to slice the pillow with the friction of the knife. But if a knife already can create friction on some material, you need something else that will actually create friction for the knife in order for it to become sharp. And having people like this in our lives is really, really important. And I think it's a lot. Actually, I think the Lord does a lot with that in marriage. Completely different episode, maybe a completely different podcast altogether. But matching energy is like a mirror of our desire to have oneness with God, with other people, and I think with just within ourselves. So it's an Eden echo, the original alignment between creator, creation, and companion. Our spirit and our souls long for that unity again. But, like in the fallen world that we live in, then everything is going to be partial, right? We can only see like in a dimly lit mirror right now. Matching energy with just everybody being the same, being in full unity is like not completely possible in a fallen world. No one's ever going to mirror us completely. We have to hold really two truths at once. It's okay to desire to be mirrored and understood and find mutual energy. We were made for resonance. And it's also really okay and holy to love people who don't match our energy, because that's where our Christ-like love grows and matures. So when we can walk in this balance, this tension, we will not idolize the compatibility we're looking for, and we actually become really compassionate. And I just want to invite you to think through this. Like, what kind of energy do you think that you kind of operate in on a daily? You might be in a hard season. Maybe your energy. And now, listen, we eat calories because calories are that's how we measure energy, right? Calories are energy because we are energy beings. Like God designed our actual body is made of energy. I feel like I got more energy late at night. I vacuumed the house. I am really low energy after I eat lunch if it's heavy. We are made of energy. Energy has frequency and vibration. This is not just, it's not spiritual, it's not new age. It's not Eastern medicine. It is literally the way the body is created and designed by God, the creator, our father. And it's not just science, because you know what science is? It's just the study of anything. So in this context, science is the study of the body God created. God designed us, the spirit hovered over the chaos in Genesis, in the beginning of the world. The spirit hovered. Hovering is a vibration over the world and the waters, right? So there's chaos and the spirit hovers. There's a vibration, and every word that God speaks and every word we speak actually has a vibration to it. This is why you feel what you feel with different types of music, and sounds. Demonic energy is very, very extremely low frequency. Disease is an extremely low frequency in your body. Angelic activity is a high frequency, and health has a high frequency in your body. Okay. Obviously, again, another episode or completely different podcast altogether. But I want you to understand, like, none of this is weird stuff, and none of it is like Darwinism. God designed our bodies with energy. And so when we walk, you can feel this when you're around different people, the type of energy happening in their body. I think it'd be really interesting to even bring in the study of like dogs, um, uh, service dogs. How like we have dogs can say, I believe that they're trained to say my owner is about to have a seizure because something is changing in the owner's body and the dog is very, very sensitive to it. And it's not because the person looks like they're going to have a seizure. There's an energetic frequency change in a body that is about to experience something like a seizure. And then animals are very sensitive to it and they can alert on that. I I guess the word is digress. I am digressing. This is an episode. This is not my research time. I say all of that because I want you to start thinking about like what kind of energy, what's it feel like in your body to have joy, to feel alive, to feel creative and inspired and hopeful. Pay attention to the actual physical energy in your body and even like where do you feel it? And what makes you smile? And what does that feel like in your energy? And what changes in your energy when you get around people who take from you and drain you and the vacuum in the room, or doing something like going to school or a job that you absolutely hate? What changes on your body? What happens to your energy? Right? And what kind of energy do you crave right now? The emotional, mental, spiritual, relational, or that authentic presence that, like those 5 types of energy that I talked about. How do you respond to the people who don't match your energy in each one of those areas? Like I said, that shadow side of each one of them. And I'm just going to go through them again. I'm just going to recap the emotional resonance energy, that heart connection. I want to be met emotionally and feel safe there. But if you don't meet me there in that emotional energy, I'm going to assume you don't care. And maybe you can even just change that to something that feels right for you. I'm kind of giving you some templates for if you don't meet me here, if you don't match me, if you don't resonate, then I make it mean this. What does that do for you? Mental alignment, that mental energy and that thought connection. I want to be understood. I want to be inspired when I'm with somebody. But if you can't keep up with me, I'm going to pull away from you rather than slowing down to come be where you are. Spiritual, faith, energy. I want to walk with other people who stir me up. But if somebody isn't in the same place spiritually, I might get judgmental or I might distance myself instead of being compassionate. That relational energy, I want to share life with people who are moving forward with me, going where I'm going. But if your pace is different than mine, if I feel frustrated by that at all, then I might see you as too little or too much. And the energetic presence and authenticity. I want connection with somebody who feels mutual. And that shadow side is, but if people have drained me in the past and I haven't been mutual, I might close myself off to people and not let people in. And that, again, maybe there's something different there for you. But I want you to think about it. And are you looking to be understood In each of your relationships, are you looking to be mirrored? Are you looking for somebody and requiring them to sing the exact same melody in the same key at the same tempo? Do you have compassion for the people around you? Do you have understanding for them and the melody they sing and the energy they're in? Because they want the same thing you want. So, are you being compassionate? Are you being mature? Are you having empathy? Or are you wanting everybody to stay at your pace and mirror you? And then, first and foremost, really foundationally, what does God want to show you about his ability to meet every need you have and bring in alignment before you expect it from anybody else? What does he want to show you about, what does he want to tell you about who he is in you and for you and with you? How does he want to tell you that it's more important for you to be in alignment with him and match the energy of the spirit within you than it is to expect other people to match your energy, to mirror you? What does the Lord say? Just stop right now and ask him, what do you say about who I am, God, and how you meet my energy where I am? And I can come meet your energy. And you, God is in Jesus. Jesus is in me. I am in Jesus. We are abiding because I see him. I see the Father. Like, that's the alignment that really is the fountain, not the drain. It's the fountain that fills us up. It's the living water. The people who don't match your energy are probably the ones who are going to help mature you, that the Lord's going to use. They're going to show you where your expectations or judgments or opinions are too rigid, where you have impatience or operate from frustration, where your love is, where you have limits on how and who and when and what you love, right? They are the ones who remind you that grace is not just a gift for the people who get you, it's also for the people who don't. And it's, I think, totally okay to crave connection and, connection that feels aligned and resonant and mutual. I want that so badly. God designed us for community. Nothing wrong with looking for friends and spaces in life that inspire you at the same level you pour out. Just don't close your heart off to the people who stretch you. They are probably carrying the very quality that your life needs right now, whether it's, peace or steadiness, loyalty, humility, thoughtfulness. We don't need everybody around us in our life to match our energy. We just kind of need to stay faithful with the people God gave us already. We will bring the light he gave us. We bring our curiosity, our strength, our drive, our warmth, our stillness, uh, whatever it is what that you bring. And then we let the variety of the people, the differences, the uniqueness, the individuality, and the original design of each person that's around us refine us rather than sitting in frustration, right? It's a spiritual maturity that grows when we stop getting people to be like us and move like us and be the same in energy and just actually start asking, what is God doing in the mix of them and me, and the mixture of all the different kinds of people in my family or at my workplace or all these people in the church that are not like me, and I wish they were all like me, wanting the same thing, going the same thing, the same way, believe in the same thing. No, what is God wanting to do between, like, with the circle of friends that you have or the people in your neighborhood? Sometimes the most powerful rooms are not full of people who match energy. They're full of people who balance it. That creates harmony in the midst of Jesus, who's the melody. He is our melody. We're actually the harmony. It's where the fruits of the Spirit grow and bear more fruit. It's where love stops being about sameness and actually starts looking like this guy we know called Jesus. So I love talking about this. Oh my gosh. Just love talking about all of it. I invite you just to stop and even like read the transcript or whatever you need to do to go back through and think about how these things are showing up in your life. And just remember that God says who you are. The people around you, they are not able to tell you who you truly are, what you're truly called to, and where you truly belong. We look for other people to do this, but it's really just Jesus. It's our Father, the Creator, who knit us together, who knows. And I encourage you to listen to what He's saying on a daily basis to you individually. Listen for what He is saying to you about who you are, who He is, and what His will is for you right now in this moment. He will give you direction and He will match you and meet you right where you are all of the time. So remember, all things are possible, everything's figure outable, and you are deeply loved by Jesus and by me. Have a great day. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to the show so you don't miss any new episodes. And to learn more about me, my work, and how we can connect, visit sterlingandstonementoring.com or check the show notes. And until next time, remember, all things are possible and figure outable.